Alrighty, so now it's time to output some user profiles and style this page here. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go into that theme that we have and we're gonna find the user profiles page. And just like we did for our projects, we're gonna go ahead and install it and then modify that data. And then after that, we're gonna install the template for a profile detail here. So in projects here, we can click on one of these pages, see information about a project, and we wanna do the same for our users. So go ahead and go into your resources folder from the GitHub link. Go ahead and open up the theme here and let's go into index.html. So this is what the page is going to look like. So we're going to take everything from this search bar down to these cards here and then we'll modify that data. And then after that, we also want to go ahead and get the user profile. So we'll go into profile here and we're going to install this page here. So I already have this in my template. If you don't, go ahead and grab the index.html and profile. So let's open these up side by side. We'll open up our Django project and we'll just move this over and let's go ahead and drag some files over. So I'll actually just copy and paste so we're not removing them from our theme. So in your root directories templates folder, go ahead and open that up. I already have index.html, so I don't need that. If you don't, go ahead and copy and paste it and then go ahead and grab profile. So we're just going to copy that. I'm going to hit Control C and we'll paste that in. So the reason why I'm copying and pasting is because my text editor here, I'm too zoomed in here, so it's hard for me to work with two screens here and actually show you what's going on. So I drag it in here so I can actually open it, copy the code, and then I remove it. So if you can open it up in another text editor, go ahead and do that. So let's go into index.html here. So what do we need from this page? So we don't need the header, that's already in our main theme. We don't need the nav bar. And all we want to do is just grab everything from main, this main tag right here. So let's grab all of this, including the comment for now. And let's just scroll all the way down to the closing main tag here. So I'm just going to copy all of this and then we'll go into our users app and we'll go into that template and we'll go into profiles here. So let's just go ahead and remove that and paste all of that in here. So I'm going to save that. And for now, what I'm going to do is actually get rid of that pagination. So we'll get rid of this and let's see what our page looks like. So at this point, we're going to have some styling, but the page is going to be a little bit broken. So here we go. I'm surprised that the pictures are working. I'm not sure how those are working at this point, but they are. So we have our content here, but this is all static. So we want to make this dynamic and actually get some data here. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and remove all the cards besides one, and then we're just going to loop through after we get that query set and modify that. So let's start at the very bottom and let's go ahead and start at the opening column tag. So you see this line here where it closes. So I typically start at the bottom one and we're going to scroll up to the first one, remove it. And then we're going to grab the second one here. So column card, let's take that. And at the column card, remove that. And there's about 6 here. So we're going to do this a few times. So we'll take this and get rid of this one. Okay, so we can grab that here. And it's probably much easier if you're not so zoomed in. So this should be easier for you. But for me, I'm zoomed in 175%. So everything's just super big here. So I think this is the last one here. So let's get rid of that and let's see. So it looks like that was the last card. So here we go. We have one column. So I'm going to create some space here. And let's go ahead and save that and take a look at our template. So if I refresh that, there we go. That's what we wanted. So we just have that one. So let's go into our views now and let's actually get some user data and list this out here. So what I'm going to do is go into my app here, into views, and in our profiles, the first thing we want to do is import the profile model. So we're just going to do from.models, import, and we're just going to do profile. So we're going to import that profile and let's go ahead and just query all of those. So we'll do profiles. And then that's going to be set to profile.objects.all. So we just want to get all the profiles in the database. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and create a context dictionary. So we'll create that and let's pass in profiles here. So we want to set the key and then let's pass in the value, which is going to be that query set. And we want to pass in that into the template here. So we pass that in as the third parameter. So let's go ahead and go into the profiles now. And let's create a loop here. So we're going to start this loop around this card. And we're just going to do for profile in profiles. So for profile in profiles, that's just a query set. So profiles here. And then let's end that. So let's see, it starts right here, closes off right here. And let's just end that loop. So we're just gonna do end 4. Okay, so now what that should do is list out all the cards based on data in our database. So if we look in the admin panel, we only have 2 at this point. So let's go ahead and look at this. We'll go into profiles here, and here we go. We have Dennis, Ivy, and John Doe, and we'll modify all these later. So we'll actually add some towards the end of this video. So now we want to change the actual content. So right now we're just still looping through static content. And the first thing I want to do is we'll modify that link later, but I'll just remove that for now. So we don't have a user profile page. We'll do that in a minute here. And that's how the picture's showing up. Okay, so it's linked up to a third-party link right here. So that's a live link, so that's why it's showing up. I can get rid of that. And for the actual picture, so that's in the image tag inside of dev profile. Let's get the picture here. So we're just gonna do the variable here, so the double curly braces, and we'll do profile dot featured, or it's a profile image, I believe I called it. So profile underscore image. So that was the attribute name. And remember, because we're accessing an image in the image field, what do we have to do here? Well, we have to do image.url. So profile image.url. So let's just test that here. Let's see what happens. Okay, there we go. So we have my picture and then that default one because that user did not modify us. And now we can go to the name and we'll just do profile.name. So profile.name. And then we have to do the title here, or the description. So full stack developer and designer, let's make that the variable. What did we call that? So I call that short intro. So we'll do profile dot short intro, and I'll just paste that in. Okay, so for this section, we're gonna modify this a bit. So let's just make sure the title and the intro is showing up correctly. So there we go, I'm a full stack developer, and then some dummy content. What do I wanna do here? So I think I wanna limit this just in case somebody has a long bio. I don't want to list out everything in that user's bio here. So what we're going to do is limit that to like 150 characters. So the first thing I'll do is go ahead and list out the bio, and then we'll trim it. So let's go ahead and remove this or backspace this. And then we'll just do profile.bio. So profile.bio. And what we can do here is just use the slice filter. So we'll do slice. So it's just like trimming a string of text here, and then in quotes, after profile.slice, let's go ahead and add in a colon there. And then in quotes here, we're just gonna set that to 150 characters. So that's just gonna trim down any profile bio here. So if I go ahead and open this up, there we go. So it ends at I still take interviews. So we can see that text here if I zoom in. So if we were to change this, let's set this to a higher number. Let's go ahead and just remove this altogether, and then we'll add it back. So if I go ahead and add this, we get a longer description, and some people may have multiple paragraphs here. So that's why we want to trim it down and just limit that. So that way it won't distort our page. And let's actually use this for that quick intro. Let's say somebody puts in too much into their short intro. So let's just set that to like 60 just in case. And that's just going to go ahead and trim down that information. So let's go ahead and refresh that, and that looks a little bit better. So what we want to do next now is build out our skill model here for the user profile. So we're going to create a new model, and this will be attached to the user profile. So if I bring in that diagram again, here we have our user profile. So this is inside of the user's app right here, and we need to add in the model here. So this is the table we want to build out next. So we'll get to messages later here. So later on we'll add in messages, and that'll be the last model. But let's get this done right here. So let's go back into our code here, and we're going to open up models.py within the user's app here. And let's go ahead and add that. So down here, let's go ahead and create a new class. And this is going to be skill here. And we're going to inherit from models.model. And we first want an owner, and this is going to be set to models.foreign key. So we want to create a parent-child relationship, and the parent is going to be the profile model. So we're going to set that to foreign key, and we're going to set the parent object to profile here. So once we have that, we're going to set on delete, and this is going to be models.cascade. So whenever a profile gets deleted, let's go ahead and delete all the skills, and let's set null to true, and then we'll also set blank to true. Okay, so for a skill, what else do we want here? So if we look at that diagram, we want a name and a description here. So description, name, and then that created value. And then we're also going to have that custom ID here. So if I move this to the left here, if I save it, there we go. It should indent that. So let's go one line down and let's go ahead and backspace so we're in the same line here. We'll say name. And this is going to be set to a character field. So let's grab this right here. Let's just take one of these from up here. We'll paste that in. And then the description for the skill. So let's say you want to write what you did with this skill, some details about it. So you want to explain yourself. We want to add that in too. So for this, we're just going to take, well, I'll actually just write it out. I know some people get offended when I copy and paste. So we'll just do models.text field. I'll try doing that as least as possible, but in many cases I will because it just makes sense to do that. So we'll just do blank and also set that to true. Okay, so our skill model is now connected to a profile. We have a name. So the name would be like React, Python, and so on. And then a description. So share your experience with that skill. What did you do with it? What do you know about it? And then let's copy created and ID. So we'll just paste these in. Let's fix that indentation. And then for the string value, I'm also going to copy this. Make sure your indentation is correct. So it's inside of this class. So look at where my mouse is. So it's in here. And then just do self.name. So we don't need that string method, but whatever it's there, might as well, it doesn't hurt us. Okay, so we have that skill and we also have the user profile and we're about to run a migration. And I noticed that we forgot to add in a location for the profile. So let's just quickly add that. We might as well do it while we're here. So let's just take this username value, copy and paste this, and let's just add in location. So we're gonna add this attribute and we're also gonna add this model here. So let's run our migrations. Let me open up my terminal here. Let's go ahead and open up a new one. So my server is on. We'll do Python manage.py make migrations. Then we can do Python manage.py migrate. Okay, so those migrations are run. So I should be able to register that with the admin panel. Remember, it will not show up in the admin panel until you register this. So let's go ahead and import skill and let's add in admin.site.register. And let's just add in the skill here. So we'll throw that in like that. Now in the admin panel, my server is running, so I can check this. If I refresh it, let's go back to home here. So remember, with our users app, the models are going to be separate from our projects app now. So here are all the models in my users app. Let's create some skills here. So let's go ahead and give this skill to Dennis, and we're just going to say React, and let's just add in some lorem ipsum text. So there's going to be something pretty cool that we're going to do here with these skills. So let's just copy this and I'll show you what I mean. So for React, we'll add in a description, and then we'll give another skill to Dennis, and we'll add in Django. We'll add in a description, and then let's add in another skill to Dennis, and we'll just say Python. But let's not add a description here. So don't add a description for a few of these. So we'll do Python, and then let's just do HTML, and then we'll just do CSS. So we're not adding descriptions for these. Okay, so that's good for now. So let's give John Doe a skill too. So we'll just say Python, save that, and then we'll just do Django. So John Doe, and that's gonna be Django. So there's a reason why I left out a description, and that's basically gonna output our content differently depending on whether a skill has a description or not. But we'll get into that when we're rendering out the user's profile. So let's go into the profiles here. For John Doe, let's add in a location. So we just added this. We're gonna set that username dynamically later, but for now, let's just add that in manually. So let's just do John Doe. And then the location, we'll just say, let's see, what's the name here? We'll just do Alaska, and then comma, or Alaska, and then we'll just do USA like that. I don't know why that was so hard to think of. Okay, and for Dennis here, I'll add in my location. We'll do Florida. And then we'll just do USA here. Username, we'll just do Dennis Ivy. And I know it's a little bit redundant to do this right now, but we'll fix this in the next video actually. So we added in a location, we added in some skills, and now we're ready to get back to this design here. So let's go into our template and let's list out those skills. So in here, let's go into the template and profiles here. And as we see these tags here. Let's leave one tag. So let's get rid of everything up until JavaScript. Let's go ahead and create a loop here. So we're going to create a for loop. And remember, we are in that profile card. So because we're looping through the profiles, we have access to that profile variable. So now we can do for skill in profile dot skill underscore set dot all. So we're going into all the profile skills. And remember, we can get the child objects by adding in the child model name underscore set and then dot all. And in the template, we don't add in parentheses like that. So that's how you would query a child set of objects. So we're getting all, I guess, the skill set of that profile. So now we just need to add in and end for. So we need to close out this for loop here. So we'll just do end for, and let's just go ahead and output that skill. So we'll just pass in that skill variable. So pay attention to this. This always seems to confuse people. Skill underscore set dot all. So the model name of the child and then underscore set gives us all of those models here. So if I save this and I refresh this, there we go. So we can see all the skills here and John Doe's skills and Dennis's skills. So now we want to actually click on these user profiles. So let's build that out here. So for the user profiles, what I'm going to do is first create the template. So in our users app, inside of our templates here, let's go ahead and create a new file. And we're just going to call this user-profile.html. And we just want to create our block tag. So we're going to extend from the main template. So we'll just do extends here, and that's going to be main.html. Then we need the two block tags here for the child content. So we need to wrap it, block content, and then we're just going to copy and paste that and add in an end block. So end block. And let's just say something, let's just paste out some content for now just so we can see it. Now we can go into the views and we're going to create a view for this. So we'll just create a method here or a function. This is a function-based view, and we're just going to say user profile. So we're going to camel case that. So the P here is capital. Now I'll pass in the request object, and in here, let's just do return render. Render takes in request. Then we're going into the users app. So this template sits inside of our users app, inside of template, and then users. So we're going to users / user - profile .html. So we're just getting that user profile, and we're not passing in any data at this point. So what we need to do next is we need to go into our urls.py, and in here, let's go ahead and just create a new path here. So we're going to create the path here, and let's see, what's this going to be? So this will be profile, and we need to pass in some dynamic content here. So we're going to get the user by the ID value. So what we're going to do is the two angle brackets like that, close it up, use the str. So we're going to say this is going to be a string, and that parameter name is going to be pk. So that's a dynamic value. So now we're going to go into views.user profile. So the view we just created, and then we're going to give it a name. That will be user-profile. Okay, so we have that name. Let's add in a comma because that is a list. And we need to pass in this dynamic value into that view. So let's go ahead and throw this in. We called it PK in the URL, so I called it PK here. We're passing in a dynamic value. So the URL is ready. This part is ready. Let's go into profiles. And what we want to do is find that link here. So for profile in profiles, column card, dev, and right here. So we just have a link that wraps the entire card so somebody can click on it. So we're going to use the URL tag. So let's go ahead and add in URL, and then in single quotes, because we have double quotes there, we'll say user-profile because that's the name of our URL. So we're just going by that. And then outside of the single quote, we're going to do profile.id. So that should create a link here. So let's go ahead and see what we have so far. So if I refresh this, we're seeing the profile. So that's the user profile. There's nothing in it just yet. So we're going to Dennis here. We're seeing the ID change. That's the dynamic value. And so far, so good. So really quick, I'm actually going to go to main.html. I want to get rid of that ugly looking footer. So we'll go into main, and let's just get rid of this paragraph tag. So save that, and that should take care of this. Okay, so that's gone. So what do we want to do next? So we want to get the theme's user template here. So we did this earlier in the video. where we added in profile.html, and we just want to extract everything from profile.html that we need here. So we don't need the head tag. We don't need the header tag here for the nav bar. So let's take everything from main all the way down to the closing main tag. So we'll take that till here, copy this, close that out here, and let's just close out our URLs and model and main.html. We don't need that, and profile, so we don't need that. Okay, so in user profile, let's go ahead and remove this, and we're gonna paste it between the two block tags. So if I paste that in, let's go ahead and take a look at this. So if I click on John Doe, now we're seeing all the dummy data. So I'll zoom out a little bit so it's not so distorted. So now we just need to query the user and modify this data. So we've done this before. This should all be redundant now, so you should probably understand this. It's gonna help just beat this into your brain. What are we gonna do here? So we need to get the user or the profile. So we're just gonna set the variable profile, and this is gonna be profile.objects.get. So the get method gets us back a single object. We're gonna get the object by the ID value, which is gonna be the primary key in the URL. Now, what do we need to do next here? Well, we wanna create the context dictionary. So context, let's go ahead and add that, set the key, set the value, and pass in the context into the render method. Okay, so this is now available in the template. So now we go to the template here, and let's start dissecting what's going on here. So let's go to the very top here. We have our profile card. On the left side, we can see our username. So that's all this right here. We're gonna modify this first. So let's see. For the name here, let's go ahead and set a variable. We're just gonna do profile.name. So that's gonna change the name, then profile.short info or short description. I guess I should have that open because I always forget the attribute names. So profile.short intro. So let's create that variable, profile, and then I'll just paste that in. So I copy that, and then based in, and then we're just gonna copy this, remove that, and we're just gonna do profile.location. Okay, now for the picture here, let's go ahead and take this link out of here. So that's that dummy picture. And we need to pass in a dynamic URL here. So this is a image field from a model. So for this, we just go into profile. We just did this. So featured or profile image, profile_image. And then we go into that URL attribute. All right, so let's go ahead and refresh that. John Doe, we have the picture. I am a developer based in Alaska. If I go back here, let's go to Dennis, and I'm based in Florida. So let's just modify this information first, and we'll add in the user projects later. Let's modify this, and then we're gonna change these links right here because these should always be dynamic. Actually, let's do this right now. So what if a user does not have a GitHub link, or they don't have a Twitter account or a website, whatever that may be? So in here, we're just gonna create some conditions. So we're gonna create a condition that checks all of these values. So let's go into the user profile, and down here we see a UL tag here that says dev social, that's a class, and it's wrapped in LI tags, so list items. So let's go ahead and create a condition. Whoops, accidentally deleted too much here. Let's create a condition above this. So this one is GitHub. So let's go ahead and create the if statement. We're just gonna say if profile.social_GitHub. I believe that was the attribute name. So that means that if there is some content inside of this field, go ahead and output that link. And then we can create the end if statement. We'll just do end if. Let's close that up here. And if there is one, let's go ahead and pass in that value as a link here. So we're just gonna do profile.social.GitHub. Social_GitHub, like that. Okay, so let's try this. I'm gonna go ahead and open up my GitHub account here. We'll just do GitHub, and that's /Dennis Ivanov or D Ivanov 11. And we're just gonna go into this account and let's make sure I have one here. So we're gonna go into GitHub here, paste that in, and let's just test this. So if I refresh this, Control-Shift-R, okay, so something didn't work. Maybe I didn't save the template. let's see, profile.social GitHub. So I think what's happening here is I didn't get that full URL here. So let's paste that in here. And then I need to copy the HTTPS and all of that. So let's go back in here, go back to Dennis Ivy, and we'll go in here, save that, and let's try that one more time. Okay, so if I click that, now I am taken to my GitHub repo. So I need to do the same for all of these. So let's go back into John Doe's. If we go into John Doe's, we're not seeing that GitHub link because John Doe doesn't have it. Now the rest of these are showing because we haven't written that condition, or we haven't written that condition for all the other links here. So let's go in here, let's copy this and the other two. So Stack Overflow, I'm just gonna get rid of that one. If you wanna keep it, go ahead and add in that attribute, but we're just gonna say if profile.social.twitter, then let's just copy this end if statement, paste that in here, and we're just gonna go ahead and take this, pass that in as the variable. Then we're gonna copy this one, take this if statement, let's go to LinkedIn. So if social.profile.linkedIn, and then we want to take that end if statement at the close of that li tag. We want to take this value, pass that in as a variable, and we're just going to repeat this one more time. So we're just copying and pasting these values. We're checking that condition for each one. So what if I have a personal website? And I think I did add my personal website. So let's take this end if, and we're going to say, let's see, what did I call this? Website. So if social.website, and we're just going to add in an end if statement. So we won't worry about the YouTube one for now, I guess. So let's go ahead and just paste that in here, save it, and let's see what happens. So if I go to Dennis, we see my website because I added that and GitHub. So if I were to add in a LinkedIn account, so let's go ahead and just, we'll go ahead and add in something for LinkedIn. So let's actually go to my LinkedIn account. We'll take this, we'll go into my profile. Here we go. I'll blur out those messages then, and then we'll save that. So now, there we go, it appears. Now for John Doe, nothing appears. John Doe doesn't have anything. Okay, so now we just want to modify all of this information. So let's go into that About section. Let's go in here. We'll go into About. Let's just get rid of everything in here. So we'll just take all of these values. Let's remove all of that. And I'm just going to fix that spacing so it closes up right here. And let's add in that URL or the variable. So we'll just do profile.bio. So if I save that, that should be good. Okay, there we go. There's the information for me, then John Doe. John Doe has a longer description. So for this next part, this is going to be a little bit different here. So what I'm going to do is query all the skills with a description, and we're going to list them out like this. Now, all the skills that we have that don't have a description will be listed out in the tags here. So this is going to be a little bit different. It's nothing too difficult, but we're just going to have to query things in a different way. So let's go back into our views.py file. And in here, inside of user profile, we're going to get two query sets. So one will be skills that have a description, and the other one will be skills that do not have a description. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the variable as top skills, and then we're going to have the other one as other skills. So other skills will be skills that you don't have a description for. So I'm going to go ahead and comment that out really quick. And in here, we're going to go into this profile object that we queried. So we'll do profile, and then we can do .skill. So it's a child object here, child model underscore set. And then we can do .exclude. So exclude is like a filter, but it inverts it. So basically what we're going to do is we'll go into the description, and we're going to say, go ahead and exclude every single value that matches here that has an empty string. So every single value that matches this exact filter here, and that's an empty string. So basically, if the skill doesn't have a description, exclude it, filter it out. Now for other skills, we're going to go into profile, and we're going to do virtually the same thing. So we'll just do profile.skill underscore set. And in this case, we're going to do .filter. So we're saying give us all of the values that contain this specific value. So filter down by these values and give us what we're looking for. So in this case, we're going to do description again. And we're just going to set the description as an empty string. So every skill that has an empty string for the description, go ahead and give that to us. And then every skill that has an empty skill here or empty description, go ahead and exclude that from here. So now we just want to add this into our template. So we need to pass that into the context dictionary. So we'll pass that as top skill and as other skills. So we'll throw that in here. So now these are available in our template, and in our template, we're gonna go just under the bio here. We'll go into skills, and let's get rid of a couple of these because we only need one and we're just gonna loop through it. So let's get rid of this one, the first one. Let's get rid of the second one and this one right here. So the wrapper is called dev skill. Now in here, we'll create the loop. So we're gonna say for skill in top skills. So we camel case that, so capital S right there. And then we want to end that loop. So we'll just do end for. And in here, we're just going to list out first the skill name. So we'll just do skill.name. And then for the actual details of the skill, we will list out the details because we do have a detail in this skill. It's one of the top skills. So we're just going to do skill.detail. And let's make sure everything is working. So that's actually not detail, it's description. Okay, so we should see our skills being output here. So now we see React and Django or React Django with a description. If we go to John Doe, we don't have any skills with a description, so we're not going to see any. So now we want to get these skills right here. So now we want to output every skill that doesn't have a description. So we'll go down here. And those were queried as other skills. So we'll go in here. Let's get rid of all of these. So MongoDB all the way up to Vue.js, and we'll leave Figma here. So now we can create that same for loop. And we're obviously not going to output a description because we don't have one. So we'll do for skill in other skills. Let's end that loop. And for, and then this is going to be the skill here. So we'll just pass that in as a value. So let's see what this looks like. So now if I refresh it, now we have Python and HTML. So this user has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 skills. 3 of them are listed out like this as tags. 2 of them are listed as or with description. So that way we can add skills and not feel obligated to write a description for each one. So if we go to John Doe only lists these out like this. So what I want to do here actually is make sure that if a user for some reason has just a bunch of skills in their, I guess in their folder, we want to make sure that a user can't add like 50 skills and completely break this card here. So we just want to limit this to a number of skills here. So we want to trim it down to maybe like the top 6 skills or something like that. So let's go back into the projects template or profiles. And in this loop where we're listing out the user's skills here, so we're doing for skill in profile skills, skill set.all. Let's go ahead and slice this. So this is a list here. We can slice it and then add in a colon. And let's just do 5. Let's limit it to 5. So if a user adds more than that, it'll go ahead and trim it and it won't show anything more than 5. So that should work now. And if we added another skill, it would trim it down. So now we just want to finish up this profile here. So let's go ahead and go into the user's profile. So we'll go into Dennis right here. And I just want to list out all of Dennis's projects. So at this point, these are all hard-coded values, or they're still hard-coded values. So this should be pretty easy to do. We're just going to go ahead and go into all the user's projects. So in the, not profiles page, but in the user profile, we'll go into projects here. We see a column and we see dev info and some kind of wrapper for our projects here. So let's go ahead and get rid of 3 of the columns. So we see a bunch of columns here. We just want to leave 1 and then loop through them. So let's take this one, remove it. Let's take this card, remove it, save it. And I know this video is getting a little bit long, but this is actually a good part where we're just doing things over and over again, and hopefully it's beating into your brain. So now we just have the one, and let's list out that project information. So for this, I can do this directly in the template. So we're going to create a for loop here, and we're just going to say for project in profile.project_set.all. So we're creating that loop. Let's go to the end of that card and let's go ahead and close it off. And for save it, and let's go into the title here. So the first thing I want to do is change the title. So that's the title of the project. So we'll just do project.title. Then we can go into the picture here. So let's change that. The image source, this is going to be project.featured_image.url. So that's going to change the image URL. We also want to update the link here. So this is going to be a link tag or a URL tag here. So we're just going to do URL and then the name of that URL, which was project. And let's see, I forgot what that was already. Projects app URL. That's just going to be project. So we pass in that and then the ID. So outside of the quotes here, project.id. So let's see what we have so far. So if I refresh that, there we go. We see an image, we see the title, and we just need to modify the tags, the description. So I'm on Dennis's profile, so that should not say Sharir Shuvo there. That should say Dennis. So let's see, what do we want to do here? So let's first update the user's information. So in this case, we're going to query this into the user model, or we're going to go into the profile model or project model. So we're going into project.owner.name. So by the owner. And then for the votes here, so we have this whole voting system here. So for the project voter rating, let's actually go into our templates within, let's see, within the projects here, and then that projects list. And let's take this from that card here. So project rating, let's take this entire span tag. So I'll actually write this down because I know some people might get confused. So we'll go back into user profile. I'll manually do this. So we're going into here, project rating, so user profile, and let's just do this. Project.vote_ratio, I believe was the attribute, not ration, so ratio. So we'll paste that in. Let's make sure that's updated. So right now they're all at 92. Now they're modified. And then we're gonna do the vote total. So we can do project.vote_total. And then we want to pluralize this. So we've done this before. So we're going to take this and we're going to remove the S here. And we're just going to create a filter. So we'll do pipe. And I'm actually going to reference how we did this before. So it was pipe and then pluralize. So let's take all of that. So if we have one vote, we want to say one vote instead of votes. Okay, so there we go, 51 votes, 6 votes, 74. So if we go back to John Doe, we can see one vote. So that's pluralized successfully. So the last thing I want to do now is I want to actually change these tags here. So those are not dynamic, so we just want to loop through and output all the correct tags. So for this, let's go ahead and actually look how we did it and look at how we did it in the projects here. So let's just do this. For tag in project tags.all, we're just going to output the tags here. So I'll just write that out. So let's remove TypeScript. We'll remove GraphQL and we'll go to Next.js here and we're just going to loop through this one. So we can do for tag in project.tags.all. So this is a many-to-many relationship. That's why we access it this way instead of using the _set. And then here we can do end for, and let's output the tag value. So we'll just do tag. Let's refresh this. Okay, so that's looking good. So now we see all the projects, all the tags to the project. So that's all up to date. If I go here, John Doe, everything is looking good. So the last thing I want to do in this video, and I think this is finally going to be it, is I want to make sure that when somebody's searching these projects here, I want to make sure they can click on any one of these profiles and actually visit the user's profile. So when I go here, I want to be able to view the project, and then when I click on the actual link here, I want to go to the user's profile. So to make this work, we're going into projects now. So now we are in the projects app. So projects.html. Let's go in here, and where we see the owner name, there's a link around the project owner name. So we're going to change this to profile, and we're going to say project.owner.id. So now that should go ahead and update that for us. So let's see, profile not found. What's going on here? So we have profile. Oh, and I think we called this user profile. So that was the name of the URL. So user profile. Okay, so now we can go to any one of these and we can click on the user's profile. And then if we click on the picture, that takes us to the actual project. So that looks good. At some point, what I'm going to do is actually create a template here and put those into their own file. And it's going to be a little bit like how we did the nav bar, but we'll take care of that later. At this point, let's just take this URL here and let's go back into our user profile. So user profile, and let's put this into those project tags. Now we don't need to link to the user's profile from here, but because this is going to be a reusable component, we want to be able to actually have it work everywhere. So let's see, we're going into project owner tag. That looks good. So from the user's profile, so if I go to Dennis Ivy, now this is listed out and that goes into the correct area. Perfect. So that's it for this video. That went on for quite a bit of time. What I want to do next is actually introduce you to the concept of signals before we start building in our login and registration. So signals are basically going to allow us to basically fire off multiple events inside of our application. And the particular event we're looking for is when a user registers, we want to auto generate a profile and then listen for events based on what happens to a user or a profile. So we'll see you in the next video.